So, hi everyone. Welcome again to the Front Row Media Podcast, it's episode 5. I've got a new batch of exciting guests with me today. Esethu and Tshepo, and they represent Rewoven, which they'll tell you about in a sec. But again, thanks for supporting and continuing to support the podcast. Again, this is all shot in Workshop 17 in Cape Town, Kloof Street. And yeah, maybe I'll leave it to the guests to maybe introduce themselves. Maybe just say who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
You start this time.
My name is Tshepo. I am from Durban, so I am a Zulu Tshepo.
I didn't know you're from Durban.
Didn't you?
I had no idea from Durban.
Joburg.
I think I assumed you're from Joburg.
People
Yes.
usually. But yeah, I'm from Durban. Been in Cape Town since about 2013. So
Sure.
applying my trade, finding out what works for me, what doesn't work for me.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dope.
I've been here ever since.
Cape
Fantastic.
Town's your home.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Esethu Cenga. I'm from the Eastern Cape, Emonti. And yeah, so I came to Cape Town in 2013, just like Tshepo, to study at the University of Cape Town. And yeah, it's been a long journey ever since. But yeah, I did studying PPE, or I started studying economics and law, changed to PPE, and then eventually did my postgrad. But yeah, I think the whole thing with me, like Tshepo was just saying, is looking for the thing that's going to ignite my passion, I guess.
Yeah.
And like aligning it with the field of study. So
Okay.
that's what I've been doing. And ever since then, I'm here in Cape Town running Rewoven with Tshepo.
Cool. So then, from my understanding is, so you're from Durban and you're from East London. So you guys first meet here in Cape Town, right? Because
Yeah.
of, I'm assuming, school stuff
Yeah.
or etc. Then how does the idea of Rewoven even come about? And I don't even really want to describe it, because I'll describe it as this is an innovation project, as I always see you guys state it as. But maybe I'll allow you guys to tell us maybe more about Rewoven, because I can tell that's maybe kind of like when it all comes about.
Cool. Yeah, you go for it.
Cool. So we met in university,
Yeah.
first year university. He's super entrepreneurial.
Cool.
You can talk about the other businesses he started before, but he had started many business. Well, not many, but starting businesses is his thing. Whereas for me, I would have never thought of myself as a business person. Yeah, I think of myself as more of a creative and a problem solver, but I wouldn't necessarily say a business person. But anyway, so I think it was towards the end of my post-grad, and we were all kind of thinking about the next step, of entering the world of work.
Yeah.
And him being very entrepreneurial, obviously we're all part of the Angry Orbis Foundation as well. So
Sure.
I'm encouraged to take that step, and I had the necessary resources in front of me and the opportunities to kind of leverage that.
Cool. So when you say that step, you mean going into the entrepreneurial route? Okay, cool.
Yes. So that was there. And we were just kind of let's do something entrepreneurial.
Sure.
Because it's also this idea of, black kids always get told that they should just go to work.
Yeah.
That's the default
1,000%.
mindset, right?
Yeah.
We're never actually taught to go into business, as the first step.
Yeah.
Especially if the opportunity is there. So we decided to kind of explore that. We've always loved fashion. I've always loved fashion. He's always loved fashion. At that time, we had another friend of ours. He also loved fashion. So
And he's the third
guy.
Lonwabo, right?
Lonwabo,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
yes.
Okay.
So at the time, there was 3 of us, and
Sure.
we knew we wanted to do something in fashion. We knew we were very entrepreneurial, and we wanted to solve a problem. We didn't want to just start a clothing line or something that wouldn't be significant. So so we decided to look at what's going on in the industry, just searching online, reading reports.
So, and I'm assuming this is then how it probably then comes about, right?
Yeah.
The problem that you guys are gonna solve.
Yeah.
It's you first you realized you wanted to solve a problem,
Yeah,
and
but
then
we
you
didn't
did your
have it.
when you did your research to see what problems exist in the fashion space.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
we had this inkling cool, we want to do something in the fashion space.
Yeah.
Started our research. At the time, I'm also needing to do my master's thesis. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So you're still in school
I
at
was
this.
still in school. I was about to start my second year of my master's. And
Sure.
what I didn't want to do was to write a whole paper for a whole year on something that I don't like.
Yeah.
Because I've done that before in my honors, and it was a mess. So I was like, cool, whatever we're trying to figure out, this fashion thing.
Yeah.
let me see if I can tie it in with my research, and those two things can help each other. Maybe my master's research can feed into this business idea, and vice versa. And so,
and sorry to even catch up. I'm keen to hear what's Tshepo doing like throughout this whole period of time, because you're still in school. You're in your second year of your master's. You say you're finding out this problem, like you're pushing that. And then Mr. Entrepreneur, what is he like doing throughout this period of time?
I'm unemployed. I'm actually unemployed and just playing golf. So yeah, during that period, when I was still in Cape Town, we had started the sort of incubation phase of the business.
Sure.
So following on from that, I moved back home, obviously unemployed, nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I had all this energy to pour into something. So
sure.
Poured it into the business, decided to actually do market research back at home, because Durban is also identified as sort of a textile hub here in South Africa. So it just seems like the universe sort of aligned for us to get this work done, and the research and the time that I was able to put into the company that side while I was unemployed have actually paid dividends for where the business is now. So sort of like at the time, obviously like super sad and super bleak, but yeah, it's you know how
necessary
life you know how life works.
Necessary.
So that's literally how it started. We wanted to do something. We looked at what the problems might be, and then we're like, cool, how can we solve this? Like, we had different ways of solving it.
Cool. Would you mind then, like, probably then phrasing the problem maybe for like for the audience, purely because like with the work that Rewoven does, right? And like I found it to be quite fascinating, specifically for the time period which you guys started doing it. And I said it because I mean when you guys helped me out with like my honors at FEDISA, like during my research, that's when I actually kind of like noticed for the first time, because I was looking at the problem now for like my thesis, and then I was finding out, oh, you guys have been chilling like in this section of the problem for like years now. So then maybe tell the audience like what is the actual problem which we're facing from a textile recycling, like sustainability in the fashion space.
So the biggest problem that we found, I think it's been the biggest problem for the industry is sustainability. Is the sustainability question. Ever since 2013, with the collapse of the Rana Plaza building, sustainability has been the biggest challenge for the industry. And in that conversation is waste. In the fast fashion conversation is waste. There's just a lot of textile waste that consumers are throwing away because we're constantly buying new garments all the time. But there's also textile waste when our garments are being made.
Sure.
And I think in our work that we're doing now in Rewoven, we're seeing that there's actually textile waste like throughout every single state. There's clothing rejects, there's unsold inventory, so it's not just offcuts and old clothes. But the problem is significant. I think there's like 90 million tons of textile waste that ends up in landfill every single year. So that's a problem.
And I mean, interestingly enough, for me, it only took me to understand it more holistically when I listened to a podcast. I think it was The Business of Hype with Aurora James. I think she's Brother Veli's. She's the founder of Brother Veli's. And then she actually kind of like stated that the roots of the issue is kind of like the West, like the cap, like the westernized side. Like the waste actually doesn't really emanate from African countries. I'm saying it very like plainly now. Like it comes more from the West, and it kind of like gets dumped in Africa. Is that like true? Maybe
that is literally what happened. So I mean, at the time when we were researching, we were finding out all these crazy figures, but a lot of it is in US and EU landfills. I think we were interested, like, oh, okay, cool, like what's going on in our landfills. So so you're right about that. That it is a Western problem. Very consumeristic economies. And also it's a problem of people who have income. You know what I mean? If you have income,
you've got the money
to throw things away quickly because you can buy more. So it is a problem of westernization, or those kind of consumerist economies. And then what they do is they then dump those old clothes that they don't like, they dump it into Africa, which creates a problem for us. But what was interesting for us, so we're like, okay, cool. So we're finding out about all this textile waste that's in these US and EU landfills. What's going on in our landfills? And because obviously we're not as big as China or some of the Asian producing countries, but we still produce. I think there's about 200 also manufacturers in South Africa. So where there's production, there's textile waste. So we went to Woodstock, spoke to a few manufacturers. Guys, what do you do with your waste? we dump it. Why? Well, what else are we gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
that's what's no
It
one's
probably
taking
it probably is so
away.
random for them. I'm sure even at the beginning it's
Yeah.
like, dude, why do you want this?
Why do you care?
They were,
Why do you
like,
care?
Yeah, they were like, we dump it. That's like,
Sure.
there's nothing else to be done about it. So
Yeah.
we obviously were like, cool, that's great. We think that that's an opportunity.
That's
for us
such
to
an
do
opportunity.
something.
Like-
Yeah, and especially with like offcuts, I think you can make better once you recycle it because it's fresh fabric. That's the thing with offcuts. It's not like old clothes that you've washed, you use detergent,
Yeah.
all of that. With offcuts, it's literally clean fabric that they're throwing away because it's offcuts. You know.
So then, if I'm then understanding it correctly, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. So now we're going from a place where you guys were at the business initially. You were working a lot with offcuts, right? And so when you're working with these offcuts, you're saying you're collecting all of this like offcut but clean fabric, right, from all these different places. And then what are you doing with that fabric?
The ops. He runs the factory.
So
Yeah.
basically, at this time, we are collecting these offcuts and we're repurposing them redirecting them into industries that use them as an input. So what you currently finding in South Africa is that those offcuts are able to be shredded and used in a variety of different products. So you'll generally find like probably polyester's being shredded and it's been put into a puffer jacket, or cotton t-shirts have been shredded and they've been put into like dog beds. And so like you that waste actually does have
It has an end goal of some sort. There's something they're using it for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's currently what we're doing with it, but
Yeah.
can't share what we're gonna.
Got you. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Answered. And then, like, how does then because I think for like the general maybe audience, I know for myself as well, like when I saw the concept of like the baling, like I got super interested, like, because I know that, again, I won't rehash your guys' process because I don't fully know how it works. Like, you know it more in depth, probably Tshepo does, but like, how does it work then from like that baling perspective? Like, what is that when people sort it in different colors or like different materials, and you see that, like, what is that? What's the vibe with that?
Baling.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can go into the colors. You always paint that.
I think I like that setup. Yeah, baling.
So
and colors.
in terms of baling, currently, so we don't process it ourselves. So we need to get it to the customer in the most efficient way.
Sure.
So with textiles, because it's obviously it has a lot of volume. Like, you know, when you put textile like stuff in a bag, like it carries a lot of volume. So when you're able to bale it, you're taking away all of that, and you're able to compress it into something that you can now you can transport more of on a vehicle. Yeah, so that's basically why we bale it.
Those massive containers
So
and
maybe I
stuff.
can
Yeah.
chat about
Okay,
the process. So like we collect from clothing manufacturers, cutting houses, largely CMTs, because that's where a lot of the offcuts are generated. And so before they even go to landfill, we kind of intercept that process and get it directly from the manufacturer, straight off the cutting table. Comes into Rewoven, and they so the recyclable fabric types, and I suppose this is also interesting for the audience, like what fabric types are recyclable, are biodegradable. So we collect 100% cotton and natural fibers, acrylic jersey, polyester, denim,
Yeah, some
I
nylon.
think nylon, depends.
Some nylon here and there.
Depends. Some of it is
It depends,
recyclable,
yeah.
some of it isn't. But those are generally the fabric types we collect. They come into Rewoven, and so then our team would sort it. So that's cotton, that's polyester, that's whatever.
Yeah.
And then they also would sort it according to different colors. And I'll explain why when I speak about the 100% recycled fabric, why that's relevant. But
Cool.
so they'll separate according to different colors, and then that's when the baling happens. Once everything has been sorted, then we bale it and compress it, and then now we're ready to sell it to a blanket manufacturer or a pillow manufacturer or a puffer jacket manufacturer or geezer blanket manufacturer who uses that, who takes it, shreds it, and then makes whatever product they want to make from that. But obviously our big goal is to make 100% recycled fabric. That's kind of the big, hairy, audacious dream.
Yeah.
And so in that process, so you collect offcuts, you sort, and the colors that you sort the fabric in. So let's say we've got green here and we've got blue there. The fabric at the end of it, when you've recycled it, will come up blue. So that's why the sorting of the colors is important. And this also means that in making the fabric, we don't need to use any dyes, which is obviously a huge conversation in the sustainability space, because dyeing messes up. It's a whole lot of faction. Sorry to say.
A lot of waste. That's what she means.
It's a lot of waste. It's just.
I feel you.
Damages water supplies. It's
I
toxic.
heard denim.
Big use of water.
Big use of water.
Apparently, I think that's where I first I connected a lot from that podcast that I listened to, because we spoke a lot about that.
Yeah, dying is bad. So that's what we do. We hope to not sell to other people at some point, and be the ones who are actually doing the shredding and then making this fabric. But currently we're outsourcing it to people who are downcycling it, and then we're getting the fabric from India, and then we're selling it locally. But want to join those two sides. Can
I ask why? Like,
India.
No, not even why India per se. Like, why do you want to be? Because I think that probably bleeds well into like the conversation about the current context in terms of employment and stuff like that. Like, why do you want to like be? Why do you want the hairy audacious dream? Like you say, why do you want that to result in essentially like you guys being the ones to provide the 100% recycled fabric? Like, why that dream?
You can talk about that. You don't have to look at me.
Yeah, I think for us the big thing in starting Rewoven, which I didn't mention at the beginning, was development. I was studying economic development, so the whole clothing story was a development exercise. How can clothing actually help development? That was kind of the thinking around.
It really was an innovation project.
Yeah. How can sustainable fashion help development? So big thing is jobs, right? We know in South Africa we have a high unemployment rate. Oh my God, I was so shocked. I was reading the unemployment figures.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like youth unemployment.
Youth isn't it like 65 or something?
It's more than half, dude.
That's lit.
It's more than half of young people are unemployed. I was genuinely shocked. And then I think now the broad unemployment, I think the normal is
40
like
something.
40 something, dude. That's almost half of the population.
Yeah.
I was just completely shocked. So that's something that.
And I think I was reading those stats, comparing them to like where we are from an economy perspective. We've got the second best economy in Africa.
Yeah.
Like behind Nigeria, and we've got like the 28th best in like the world. That seems like we're pretty high. Like we're supposed to be doing
services.
well.
It's services that drives the economy.
True, services. Which adds actually to what I'm saying. So manufacturing is a good industry for generating jobs, particularly in the context where you have a lot of people who don't have skills, who haven't had any education, haven't gone to university, and that's a problem we have in South Africa. We have unemployment because people they don't have the necessary skills, or if they do have skills, they're not matching to what's in the job market. But we have a huge pool of labor that's unskilled, and a lot of them are women. And what industry loves employing women? It's the clothing industry, right? Exactly. So that was our big thing. And a lot of people always ask us, like, why would you go into the clothing industry in South Africa? Like, it's dying. Like, why would you even think that? And our thing is, yes, it is. it hasn't been good. I'm not gonna lie there, but we see the opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
I think there's so much opportunity.
Right, exactly. And I think it's just this attitude of like, it's dying and it's dying. It's not good enough, especially because it's an industry that can actually like help in a significant way. You know,
like the work that you guys are doing is for me paramount. Purely because I feel as if it was work which we were doing at some point in time in this country. Up until, and I learned this in fashion school, like funny enough, up until production like took flight to China. Like, and it made sense for me, like when you even go through Woodstock and Salt River, there are a lot of these abandoned factory molds, and a lot of those just chilling here, like in Cape Town specifically. Purely because it's like apparently it's like South Africa like used to be like a massive clothing production, like up until it became cheaper to produce in China, and then it all fled and it left there. So it's kind of like what you guys are doing like right now is kind of like reviving the economy, like literally.
There's only a few fabric manufacturers in South Africa, and that actually chows us because with a lot of the retailers now, when they want to make clothes, if you're choosing to base your production in China, and then you have international fast fashion brands, they're doing things a lot faster than you, so you're losing out. By the time you've made your garments, we've already seen it at X brand and X brand, you know what I mean? And so it makes sense to localize production, and I think that's what COVID has taught us. That's now you see a lot of the big local retailers are like, okay, cool, like we're going to manufacture in South Africa now because we have to. Like, it improves your resilience, it makes things a lot more efficient, like if you just have production here. So it's also part of that reindustrialization conversation, I think, that we need to have in South Africa, and like what that means for our own resilience, for our economy.
Got you. And then like now to maybe like wind it back. So let's maybe speak about, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot here for a bit. Maybe give me like 3 things, right, which you would probably want someone to walk away with before we move from this topic, because I think it's a super important one. But like 3 things you'd want maybe like the listener right now to be aware and conscious of when it comes to like maybe recycling. So there's a lot of wrong preconceived things. Like people didn't know, for example, that maybe like dye eats up so much. Denim like takes up so much in terms of dye and stuff. So like, what would you maybe say in terms of someone who wants to maybe support the kind of work which you guys do maybe, and wants to maybe like, if they have offcuts of some sort, like a business.
You start, because I'm gonna run.
I definitely my first thing
Limiting it to 3.
To 3.
Yeah.
Cool. My first thing would be, and I'm just going to speak generally, like not so much around recycling, but more so around the topic of sustainability.
Sure.
First thing is consumers need to get curious. Like ask questions, like find out where your shit comes from, how that shit was made, how you should be looking after that thing, how you could make that garment last. Like, and also like, when you understand where something comes from, I guess like create relationships with your garments. Just buy better. I think that's what I'm saying.
Don't be reckless. Like,
just buy stuff you need. Buy stuff like that matters to you. Buy stuff that you're actually gonna use. Second thing, understand that sustainability affects you directly. Like it's not this like airy fairy European thing that's like, oh shit, like it's all the way there. You know what I mean? The annoying
thing was it was made to seem that way a lot of the times before, but I feel as if now like people have more of like an attachment to like the like the idea. People want to like buy into it, or like like listen to what it actually is now.
And also understand that like the sort of like ideals and principles of sustainability exist in us as Africans, people of color. Like the things that our grandparents used to do, the things that our parents do to like preserve and
just made me think about your guys' phone. I'm so gonna ask you about that. But I'm saving the juice for later. I'm so gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. So like it's definitely one of those things of like, just understand that like sustainability, like it should matter to you, definitely.
Gotcha.
Sure. The third thing.
Maybe like a preconception, like something which someone maybe thinks about, like, sustainability maybe is this or is that, but it actually really is not.
It's not expensive.
It's not expensive because if you're look at it this way, if you spend 1,000 rand on a really quality t-shirt that that's been made the right way with the right types of fabrics, and just like put together really well, or even if it's done, maybe made locally and maybe costs a little bit more because it's local. Instead of buying like 100 rand t-shirt that you're gonna run through like 2 washes and like that shit is fucked. Like you're not gonna wear that shit anymore. Like like you keep buying these 100 rand t-shirts, like it adds up, where like you could have bought one really quality t-shirt.
Buy a so-so tee, just like what I'm saying, up yourself.
Buy like some good. You know what I mean? Like
make yourself feel like you deserve it.
Also just take your time with it. Like when it comes to like your style, like how you dress, like how you express yourself and like your fashion sense. Just take your time with it. Like if you take your time with it, you'll generally find that you'll buy better stuff that you can keep for long and you can do more with. So,
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, I would have loved
Did I
it.
steal
but you literally touched on a lot of things. I think like one, like why should you care about sustainability? Because I think a lot of people, we care about a lot of things as millennials once we know that it's worth caring about, right? And I think a lot of the times people don't know that they don't know what they don't know. So it's not even to, assume that people are just being reckless. A lot of the times people don't know, and that speaks to that point of...
I know I didn't know.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know. So
and I own a lot of shit. So like I really didn't know.
And what I would say to people, just like remember that everything is interconnected. Like everything is interconnected. So like, with the Black Lives Movement and like how we care so much about that, that links with the sustainable fashion movement, because black women are making our clothes and they're not getting paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is connected to that topic.
Gotcha.
And it's connected to people that we care about. It's connected to an environment that is sustaining our lives. So everything is super connected. It's connected even with you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times people think, oh, fast fashion, it's cheap. It's cheap, but like we've pointed out, they don't care about you as a consumer. They're giving you a garment that's not good quality just so they can make the most money off of you. So get curious, like Tshepo said, like want to understand, because
if it's 100 rand, inquire why that t-shirt's 100
with
rand.
everything, even with your
Because they're still making their money, eh?
Yeah.
Certain people just aren't getting paid in the process.
Exactly. So how I got into it, like I started caring about my hair, black girls, natural hair, and that same attitude where you learn like, oh my gosh, like what I put into my hair, like I need to take care of it. And then you go into your food, healthy, and then you like, okay, cool.
I think food for me was the most alarming thing.
Exactly. It's the same thing in everything. Is the point that I make? It's the same thing in hair. It's the same thing in food. It's the same thing in clothes. It's the same thing in our digital. I'm finding out things about how our phones are made, and how it's basically everything that's been made through the capitalist model. You just need to think about how it's been made and how do you as a consumer, because our money basically either votes for yes or votes for no for this thing. When you buy something, you're voting for, this is the way
could easily be an enabler for it.
Exactly. So realize everything is interconnected. Realize because of that you need to care. Everything that you consume and buy, you need to care what's going into it. That's the first thing. I like the point that you said about take your time. I take my time when I buy clothes. Like literally when I buy
I never
clothes,
used to take my time. I always used to just like, I don't know, see it, like it, and wear them like it's done.
Dude, I used to
but now campus, I take my time.
Like leave campus, like go to Canal Walk, buy, like, and then what happens? You don't like it afterwards, or like you wear
I buy them like it's actually not that fly anymore.
Exactly.
I've spent money for it. It's gotten a bit uglier.
Exactly. So I have so many of those clothes. Like I haven't worn it for years because it actually isn't that nice. So take your time. Like, so now when I'll go to a store, I'll make a mood board, obviously, and die back. Like there's no need to do a mood board. There's no need to like
an entire mood board.
Like it helps me just like, okay, cool. This I'm gonna wear with this. It goes with this in my wardrobe. But like, just take your time. Don't buy the first thing that is your heart.
Gotcha.
So that like when you do buy that thing, you actually like it, like, and you wear it for a long time. And then what's the other thing that I would say? Yeah, I think those are the most important, to be honest. And then again, like sustainable fashion does not have to be expensive. I think there's also this thing like, oh, it's so expensive. There's so many different options. There's thrifting. There's buy dope garments and make sure they last for a long time. But it really doesn't have to be expensive. And like Africans, we are the pioneers of slow fashion, to be honest. I was explaining during our Future of Fashion Roadshow that you know how our traditional garments are made, or Nigerian, there's no offcuts in that process because like the fabric is like square or whatever. No offcuts created there. It's natural fabric, natural fibers. Those garments tend to be passed down. They never really throw them away. So we have this, like, we need to start thinking that sustainable fashion is this new thing, sustainability is this new thing, slow fashion is this new thing. It's because we're looking there and we're buying what they're selling us, but we need to, we're the pioneers of this whole thing.
That was the most interesting, I think, a bit of what you guys did. And I think the what I wanted to us maybe to speak about right now would be like what you just said right now, the Future Fashion Roadshows. It's like, what is that? And even when it came about, like, because I know, like, it actually got, like, you managed to get the Swedish embassy, if I'm not mistaken, like involved in the whole, like, vibe of things, because there was the event which you guys invited me to. Shout out, by the way. I streamed it live. I couldn't actually be there in person because I was a fashion student at the time. But like, I was watching everything and I saw, and even with Gogo, yes, towards the end, for me that was the most interesting bit of like everything and the film. But we'll get maybe to that, like, what is the future of fashion, like, because you guys are doing road shows for it now as well to different fashion schools, so talk us through that.
Go for it.
I feel like I've been chatting.
Okay. So just to like rewind, so when we started this whole movement, let's call it a movement.
It is actually.
Or we started, but
well, we didn't start it, but like when we thought to get on board and put some energy behind it, we found that locally it didn't have much of a platform. And we found that people were discussing these things that we're talking about, but people were discussing in silos.
Sure.
And we fortunately had the opportunity to go to Sweden back in 2019, I think, as a part of a like Fashion Revolution program where they had experts from like all over the world, just like to be there for a week, just
That's
to like
dope.
see what the Swedes are doing.
Yo,
you
how
know,
was
also
Sweden?
just
Was it
to
fire?
also just to man, like
Yo.
Sweden in terms of like I think like recycling and like just like systems that foster like sustainability. Like they're on top of that. You know, like the Nordic countries are just very known to be very clean and like so they invited us there for like a week where we met people from all over the world just like discussing the things that we're talking about here, and we just thought to ourselves like, damn, like it's great, we know all this stuff, like let's use it for something. Let's share what we know. Let's take it further. You know, so we thought to create a platform in collaboration with the Swedish Institute and the Swedish Embassy to allow us to disseminate this information around sustainability and begin to really talk about solutions that were not only that fitted the global view of sustainability, but like locally. You know, like what does sustainability look like for us as the South African fashion industry, and what are solutions that we can bring to the table. And so we created the platform in 2019, like literally in a month, just like let's do something. Planned it in a month.
I don't know.
While in Cape Town, literally landed like.
You know how entrepreneurs are crazy. Like, why did we say yes to that option? We didn't. We're like, how do you plan an event in a month, dude?
And land like 3 days before and just be like, okay, cool. Like, the venue exists. Okay, cool. You know, let's put it all together. So, and the platform's now like it's grown and it's really become a sense of pride for us. A sense of pride for us as Africans, as South Africans, around like, like our practices, and our ideologies around sustainability. And it's just grown. It's the baby next to the baby, that we just love so much. And like every year we just have so much energy to pour into it because we want it to be stimulating every year and really engage people. And the reason why we called it the Future of Fashion is because it's for us young people who are the future of fashion. Like FRM is a part of the future of fashion, and that's why we think it's so important that like we engage young people around these issues around sustainability, because at the end of the day it's going to affect us the most.
Exactly. And I think because for me, and like I want you guys, what about the event? I want you guys to also chat about the event, purely because, and I don't want us to like not speak about it and understate it, purely because that was a phenomenal event. And I literally say this not, like in just to be nice or anything, like that really was a very, very good event. Like, and even me being able to live stream it, like that was, first of all, like super well done. And just from how you were able to arrange the speakers, to the film that you guys showed, which I thought was exceptional. You guys can see it on YouTube. I watched it there as well again. And if I'm not mistaken, right, Tinoke was the host of your guys' event, right? Who I'm still trying to get her to this podcast. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think she's just.
I don't think we will be.
I hope she sees that. She's absolutely phenomenal.
She's amazing.
Yeah. So like a lot of the elements were just super well thought out. How that must be extensive planning. A lot of sleepless nights, shouting at people.
Literally sleepless nights. But like Tshepo said, like it's the passion of wanting to teach people about sustainable fashion, but in ways that are engaging for people. Because I think when people talk about this topic, it's always like in this academic way, or it's certain people who look a certain way, that are having these conversations in yoga pants in Cape Town with their bamboo straws. You know what I'm saying?
The Constantia moms.
You know what I'm saying, right? And that's great, right? But like, we live in a country with majority young people, with majority black people, and we're saying we care about sustainability. We want to make things move. So we need to speak to the majority in ways that they understand.
Speak to the kids.
And I think that's what Future of Fashion does. So we'll always try to teach about this topic, but like in an interesting way. So we have master classes. We partner with Twig. They're an
Shout
online,
out to Twig as well.
They're amazing. They do
Fantastic.
a lot in terms of teaching people, consumers
Jackie's
especially,
dope.
about what to do. So we partnered with Jackie to have 4 master classes, all of them based on what's happening in South Africa, what's happening in South Africa when it comes to textile waste, what's happening in South Africa in terms of creating a circular economy, what's happening in South Africa in terms of using our own indigenous knowledge and slow fashion. And also we had a conversation on how the sustainability conversation is not inclusive, because we felt that was necessary as well. And again, I think our aim is always to also have an authentic perspective on the topic. We don't want to sound like everyone who's talking about this topic already. We have a unique perspective, and so that's
you
where
understand
the film
it.
came in.
The film was super.
That's where the film came in. COVID also forced us to make it a video thing, and so that's where the film came in. That's also the live streaming. That was a COVID. We would have never done live streaming, I don't think, without COVID. But now we're sticking with it.
You guys did it well, dude. Like, you did it well. Even like the bits and like the pauses and the stuff, like the way it was panning around and stuff, like, or like the way it was like just chilled or like sitting and stuff. It wasn't awkward. I felt like I was there.
That's so interesting.
You know, it's so funny.
Because we didn't feel like that at all.
That was off a laptop. Like, we literally had like a laptop perched like on top of the
I feel like
sound.
we felt like it was a bit shady.
Yeah, we thought it was shady.
We were like, oh my god, next year we need to.
I was like, because I was like, I really wanted to be there. That's the thing. So you know, man, when I'm watching it. When I'm there, I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm here and I'm not complaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the way the film screen and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, so everything is very well thought out. Like, Tinuke was a very intentional decision. Why? We could have
very good decision.
easily gotten anyone else, but it had to be her for a certain reason. Masejo facilitating the panel discussion. Yeah. She was very nervous because she's young. I was like, I don't care.
She's
I don't care. You're conscious. You're coconut cracked. Stop.
Good, right?
Yes. So there was a reason why she was the one having that conversation. There was a reason why Gogo Dineo had to be there, because we're speaking about indigenous knowledge and African sustainability. Are we going to now go get a professor, PhD from African studies to come? No, we can get someone. Yeah, we can get literally a traditional healer whose entire experience is this thing, and also that process of legitimizing our own knowledge in the way that it is. You know what I mean? So
she was so insightful.
Yeah. So it's a lot of thought. It's a lot of thought into trying to speak about this in an authentic way and in ways that are different and stimulating for people. And we put out a lot of energy into, like, we're very excited about the one for this year. I hope you come.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming. We're all coming to this one for sure. Like, no cap. Yeah. And then, like, maybe last two speaking items or questions, maybe, like, it's not really questions per se, but maybe talking items. Like, what are you guys' plans for the future? Like I know, like, what are you guys are doing now and stuff, but like, what are you guys? What is exciting you? Like, where your mind's at, basically? What do you got?
Sure.
Cooking.
There's just like, well, let me not say there's just so much, because there's not. But the dreams are really big.
Yeah.
The dreams involve a lot of discomfort for a lot of the industry in terms of like what it currently looks like.
Sure.
It's gonna require a bit of shaking up.
Got you.
It's
necessary though.
Yeah, we want to have a facility that not only like produces this great product that is South African and is made in a really thoughtful and resource efficient way, but we want to create a company in this space that that represents the future of how it is that people are treated at work. We want to create a workspace that is dignified.
So profound.
A workspace that is progressive. A workspace that is representative of the ideas that we have around, just like what the world should look like, and how clothes should be produced. And without saying too much, that's sort of like what we see as our future and what we are working towards currently.
Fuck, it must probably be so cool to work for you guys. I just thought about this world of work, and I was like,
I don't know what the
future, you know, like it's black-owned stuff, like young people, like, you know what I'm saying, understanding of rules, culture, like corporate culture, like young black kids in corporate, like, you know, your vision, your mission. I'm pretty sure it must be so refreshing to see like a much more newer, refreshed one. Because we're at the point right now where we're the ones cultivating that for us, and it excites us. So imagine being able to, like, as an external person, get a peek into your guys' company and what you're creating. You know.
Thank you.
I hope Les is having a blast.
Shout out Les.
Oh yeah, the guys, the other guy works for you guys,
so our
right?
colleague, Les.
Got you.
Yeah, that is the vision, I would say.
Yeah.
Cool. And then so that was the one talking bit, and the second, I think, would kind of like just, I always like ending these off in a very like advicey way, but just because I just feel as if like there needs to kind of always be like an amount of value add that people, you know, get from this, and having such, you know, guests who like kind of like are, you know, becoming quick, massive like leaders and experts within their field right now, and you being young and black, like what advice would you maybe give to like young black people, maybe even like us, like FRM for example, you know what I'm saying, who are trying to infiltrate a space? It's not easy to, purely because a lot of like barriers to entry in place, barriers to entries which look different, you know what I'm saying, each and every time. Like, what would you guys say would be the best amount of advice? Won't hold you guys to it, but like just like what's worked for you guys in terms of navigating this massive dream?
I think for me, I'll kind of repeat my forefront. I'm very passionate about young people doing things in South Africa.
Yeah.
Because I do have this feeling that the older generation is not getting out of power. They're not going to go anywhere. And I think that as young people, we shouldn't wait for them to go. We should just do our own thing. When I was in Rwanda, someone was talking about like, as young people, we're still waiting to be given permission to sit at the big table with the older generation so we can do what we want to do and make the change that we want to do. And he was like, no, just start your own table. Like, literally just start your own table.
Your own shit.
Just like do what you want to do. And if there's limitations, there will always be limitations. So I also think sometimes millennials, we think things are going to be perfect. There's always going to be a challenge. Like, you will overcome those challenges, partner with people, like collaborate, like do what you want to do is my point. Like, no matter how difficult it seems, it will be difficult. So I'm not even going to lie then. It's going to be difficult. But like, that's not a good enough excuse for me to not try. Do you know what I mean? And there's so many resources you have there. And I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of resources, but we have each other. Like, if you have a strength, someone else has a strength that you can kind of put together. And sometimes things don't also have to happen now. So, you know, like, just do what you want to do. Don't make it a thing that never happens. Actually do it, but the how might be different. But definitely, like, follow your dreams. That's my thing.
Got it.
As young people, we have to, like, we just spoke about the unemployment rates. Like I said, the older generation is not going anywhere. So we can't be in this limbo where we're waiting and they're not going anywhere. Just do, guys. Just get up, do, and find a way to make what you want to happen. That's it.
Sure, I'm going to keep mine really short.
Yeah.
Just also piggyback on what Esethu said. Understand that it is going to take time. The how is not important, because what you'll find is that the how changes along the way. Be versatile, I hope I'm using the right English word, malleable.
That's fine. Yeah,
is that the right word?
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, just be open to change. Don't be fixated in your idea of how it is that you think you're gonna get it done. And also just take your time. Take your time to fully understand what the problem is, because like with what Esethu said around the issue, the problem that we researched and found the internet and started looking at, like the problem it's developed, like it's gotten more nuanced as we've gotten into it. So understand that the problem, there's still further understanding that you need to do, and also around the solution, understand that the solution is going to consistently change. And then the last thing I'd say is remain curious, ask questions, put yourself in uncomfortable positions. Like, one thing an example I'll use, I hate talking on the phone. I used to hate talking on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
you'd call me, I'd literally be like, damn. Wait till the thing's done, reply on WhatsApp. And like, just like phoning people and like speaking to
Sounds
people on
very
the phone.
familiar. Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, and like,
yeah.
like just customer interviews, like having to
Yeah.
do that, like that was super uncomfortable for me. And
Yeah.
like, I hate, like I'm introverted, so like that sort of stuff is
I
just like,
feel
whoa,
you.
I don't want to do that.
It's a
and
lot.
lean into that discomfort, because
Yeah.
in that discomfort is where the personal growth happens. Because now I can talk to anyone on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm that guy that's calling you like, yo, this is what I need. So yeah, it's just be curious, lean into the discomfort. That's where the growth is. That's where the answers lie. And yeah, you'll get it done.
And black kids, back yourselves, man.
Yeah.
I think that's the most.
We've
like,
got souls,
back-
guys.
Yeah.
We've got all the
yourself.
souls.
Like,
Literally.
black kids, we have the source,
Literally.
and just back yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't like it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But whatever, like
Yeah.
back yourself and just go, you know, and do what you want to do.
1000%.
Away.
Yeah, I think I can't even continue that more. Pure, that's the perfect way to end. Like, thank you to both of you guys so much
Thank
for
you.
actually like
Thank
availing
you.
yourselves. I know that you guys were even keen to do this the first time we spoke about it when I was still like a fashion student, but like I appreciate you guys like pulling up, coming and sharing your resources, expertise, knowledge, everything, energy source, your engagement. Yeah, with everyone. Like it's super dope. And yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in. And yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Cool.